Victims of human trafficking go through a lot of abuse, which can be physical, emotional, and even mental. They're also at risk for the spread of bacterial diseases, for example, HIV or AIDS. Statistics are 90% of sexual abuse know the perpetrator, 68% are abused by family, and 44% of the sexual assault victims are under the age of 18. Some of the victims were forced to have sexual intercourse with men more than 30 times a day. There are many effects due to human trafficking, but four of the main are traumatic sexualization, betrayal, powerlessness, and stigmatization. Traumatic sexualization is the process in which a victim's perception of sexuality is shaped in an inappropriate way as a result of being molested or sexually abused. It can occur when a victim is exchanging affection, attention, given privileges and gifts for sexual behavior. Abusive acts included are gang rape, dehumanization, a new name and identity, and even being forced to watch pornography. Betrayal defined is the dynamic by which a victim discovers that someone whom they were dependent on has caused them harm. Being sexually abused by a family member often makes you feel backstabbed or lack trust towards everything. Powerlessness defined is the process in which the victim's will, desires, and sense of worth are continuously disregarded. Dealing with powerlessness, the victim feels that their territory and body space are invaded. Their attempts to stop abuse are useless, and they are unable to communicate about their situation due to fear. Stigmatization defined is a negative perception towards an individual. During the process, victims may fear the anger, jealousy, and shame of their family members. They might also be afraid to cause family problems. They also might make statements that their bodies are damaged or dirty.
Victims of human trafficking in the past would have to go through their day knowing that the people that forced them into acts of labor or any kinds of sexual acts only had 8 years in jail at the most. In some cases, they didn't get any jail time. The things that these men and women of all ages went through is so heartbreaking that they deserve justice. A few years ago, Proposition 35 was passed, which basically extended all the punishment times. Some of the extensions went from 5 years to 12 or even life in prison. If it weren't for these extensions, then those who did the human trafficking wouldn't have the punishment that they deserve.
Many celebrities have been impacted with the current situation, as for one who is Ashton Kutcher. He recently went to the Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing to speak out to the community and try to find a solution for human trafficking. Over time, he invented a website named Thorn, and with this, people can donate money to victims. Donations aren't the only way to contribute with this situation. People can also volunteer.
The FBI estimates that well over 100,000 women and children are trafficked in America today. Human trafficking takes various forms. Victims are recruited, transported, or harbored under coercion or used of threats of forms. They are exploited through forced labor, sexual coercion, or removal of organs. This makes the process and treatment a lot harder because of all the people that are victims of human trafficking. The younger you start as a victim, the more difficult it gets as you get older. The recovery process that they go through is a very complicated process. The recovery process is harder for the people that get traumatized. Some victims need to get medical assistance due to the effects of their experience. For example, HIV, AIDS, and PTSD, which is post-traumatic stress disorder. The recovery for this treatment is an individual process that can take a very long time because of all the harm caused. But take note that every individual is different.